Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.
Hey, it's the K-tastic one on Money Chaos, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment podcast.
Hey, this is the Grinder, Mark Shaw, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Dear lovers, this is the real life Cupid, and you're here with Wrestling with Entertainment. Love, Doug.
This is the visionary Von Vertigo, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hi, this is the Princess of Perfection, Savannah Summers, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers on Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy. I am, of course, your host, James J., alongside Kaliko Yachts.
Drink of the evening, Robert Hall, 2017, Cabernet Sauvignon.
And Scooter Dust.
I lost my job at the calendar factory. All I did was take a day off.
And it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the First Lady of Australia Wrestling, the most decorated woman in Australia Wrestling, the Princess of Perfection, Savannah Summers.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How are you? And happy belated birthday as well.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. I'm getting
Her 21st birthday. No, your 21st birthday. Your 21st birthday. We'll
exactly
keep it
right.
My 15th, 21st birthday. Just like
no, 21 forever. It's forever 21, son.
Sounds good to me.
Well, Kaliko's a leap year baby, so he's only technically 9. If we're trying to be accurate here. So could you tell us?
So I should be getting paid for this child labor, though. So I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, watch out.
Could you tell us what's coming up for you next, and where we can find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a show on Friday for Power Slam in Adelaide. It should be good. Gonna probably take on some new girls, so that's always fun. So come check that out if you're in Adelaide. And yeah, check out all my social medias. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Savannah Summers or Miss Savannah Summers. It's pretty easy to find me.
And you have merchandise as well.
Oh yeah, I have a Redbubble account. If you go to Redbubble, you can pretty much buy all my designs on anything from mugs to shirts to bags, whatever you feel like, really.
Ooh. Savannah Summer bag?
Yeah, they do everything. It's great.
We might have to buy one and give it away to our listeners.
Absolutely. They're good quality stuff, Redbubble. So definitely check it out. And I think I'm on there. It's Miss Savannah Summers.
And of course, all of those links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. Now, you work for RCW. Can you tell us about the promotion and your relationship with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Riot City Wrestling is a company in Adelaide, South Australia. I've been with them since the inception of the company. So that was 2005, I believe, was the first show they did. They are one of the leading companies over here in Australia, and yeah, I've been with them from the beginning. We didn't really have any girls when I started, so I was more of a valet, but we slowly got some more on, and I've been able to bring lots of girls through the company since then. So they're really good. They run monthly shows. It's been a little bit harder with COVID. They've been doing a lot more house shows, but we've been lucky enough to keep up regular shows throughout the pandemic. So really lucky in that sense. And I think lucky just to be in Australia where, you know, things aren't as crazy and they've been able to keep on top of things pretty well. So yeah, I've been very lucky, but they're a great company. And if you're looking to get into wrestling, I would definitely suggest checking them out. They've got their own training facility and they run trainings, I think 4 or 5 nights a week and shows every second week or so. So they're really good. And they obviously have big diverse like diversity in the sense of like the women, the men, you've got the big guys, the smaller guys, tags, all of that. So, you know, whether you want to be a wrestler or just a ring announcer or a referee, they run training for all of that, and they're definitely top notch in Australia. So I definitely rate them.
Awesome.
All right.
Skibby, you have a question?
Okay. Yes. Now, want to hit on something you mentioned. When you started, you were the only female amongst a roster full of male competitors. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you did start out wrestling men because they didn't have any female competition for you after you transitioned from being a valet.
I'd say yes and no. I wrestled the guys in the sense of like I trained with the guys and had matches, like training matches with them.
Mhm.
But when I had my very first in-ring match, we actually traveled interstate down to Melbourne for a show. It was like we got like a carload of us and drove down there. I think there was like 6 or 7 of us in like a van. And we met some women from Melbourne that wrestled, and we convinced one of them to come over to Adelaide and have my first match with me. So my first matches in a ring in front of a crowd were still with women, but I wrestled the men to train and like learn, and like having my, you know, my practice matches before I was actually in front of a crowd was all with men. So yeah, we just didn't have the women over here, I guess, back in the day that were interested. I was the only one, so I just had to deal with what was there.
Well, what I wanted to know is what were the advantages and disadvantages in that circumstance to being the only female among a training group that was entirely men?
I actually think it was probably a lot better in a lot of ways, because I was the only girl, and not just for me but like for the boys. They didn't know, you know, any different. For them it was like they just train with the boys, this is how they train, and I was just another new person coming through, so I just got trained the same way they were being trained and just got thrown in the deep end with them, and I just had to learn from the boys. And so I think it helped me to get a lot better. Nothing against the women, but training with women, you often you know, they're often not as strong or not able to do as much as the boys. So I think training with the boys, I definitely picked my game up really quick, because I was able to do a lot more straight off the bat with them. And so I think it helped when then we brought in women. I was already at that level of being able to work really well with them and know what I was doing. So it definitely helped. I think it's different now. We have a lot more women, and I think the boys, you know, they don't mean to like necessarily train the women differently, but I think they're a lot, you know, softer with them or nicer with them. And I think it's good in some ways, but it also can, you know, stop them getting really good really quickly. Whereas I just didn't have the choice. It was like, we didn't know any better. This is all we've got. So you just got to take it and do it. And for me, I'm happy that happened. It would have been nice to at least have one woman there, but it probably got me a lot stronger and a lot tougher, a lot quicker, and learning the ropes, a lot quicker. So I'm happy.
It's very eerily similar to how it started when I started out up here in New York with the NYWC, because their training, they didn't have anybody, and it was me and two other women. One of them was my fiance at the time, and one is now a darling season of the East Coast Independence, Nikki Adams. And that sort of kick-started everything else. But they threw us into the deep end with everybody else. So
yeah, sometimes it's a good thing to just have to take that leap, and it forces you to get better a lot quicker. And even though it's scary at the time, it's always beneficial down the lines for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Kaliko, you have a question?
Yeah, to piggyback on that, it just sounded like you were building the airplane as you were flying it, type of deal.
It's a good analogy, definitely.
So with that being said, do you think? Because I think that you are pretty much the genesis of women's wrestling in Australia, is it not? Are you do you get received and regarded as such? Because I think that considering you've been at it since 2005, even though it was a valet, but considering the reception, if you could compare the reception of women's wrestling in 2005 to now, do you see that 180 shift, or is it, were you able to see the progression as it went along, or
Oh,
was it
yes.
stagnant?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not just in Adelaide, but all over Australia. When I first started, I think we had about one girl in each state. So I think like Madison Eagles, obviously in Sydney, but she was traveling a lot to the States even then for her. So she wasn't really around. And I think we had Michelle in Perth, and then we had like Vixen in Melbourne, and even maybe Sarah J in Queensland. So we was like one in each state. We were all spread out, so we couldn't really help each other out. We didn't really know much about each other. This was like early days when the internet didn't really have any websites to find wrestling. I got very lucky in finding wrestling. I just happened to meet some guys in town that were wrestlers, and other than that, I don't know how I would have found it or started. I just always knew I wanted to do it. So it's been amazing to see where it's come from when I started, and we were really struggling for women and desperately begging women to join. You'd get a guy that had a girlfriend and you'd be like, let's get her in and just try to convince her to start so we had more girls. And now I think every tryout we do, and we have tryouts about every 6 months. I think we always have at least one girl at a tryout, which is fantastic. Not that they always stick around or, it doesn't always work out. But back when I started, I mean, I was around for years and years before we had any other women start. It's and now we got, new girls coming through all the time. And I think each state has at least, probably 10 girls or more. So it's fantastic.
That's crazy. And just to
Yeah.
follow back on just to follow up with that question, with that progression, right now, do you think that we are and I personally think so. I think we're at the beginning. I want to say about 2013, maybe 2013, 2014 was the beginning of what I believe is now the golden era of women's wrestling, not only in the States, but internationally. Do you think that we are just getting started with this thing and we can just keep it going?
Yeah, I really hope so. It's just been amazing to see the opportunities the women are getting now, and the companies are willing to, put their trust in the women and give them bigger spots and more time. And I'm always happy to see that in any company, and especially down here in Australia. You always for a long time, I felt like, we were getting left behind, or we were just the, special feature match or whatever. But I definitely see it becoming a lot better with all the companies. Seeing what's happening in the States definitely helps down here. And I think they're seeing it even just from the fans, that's what they want. This is what they want to see. I think the women's matches always get higher views on YouTube and more likes. So I'm like, hey, if that's telling you anything, that's what the people want to see. So it's really good all round, and I really hope that it doesn't slow down and stop or go backwards. I really hope that it just keeps going forward and bigger and better, like more women, more matches, more time, more everything. I would love that. It would be great.
Well, speaking of, the new goals, last week you successfully defended your RCW women's championship against Delta. I actually watched that match live, and I mean, you decked her with that belt.
Hey, she grabbed me. What do you like? It was reflexes. That's reflexes, okay? I had the belt. She came over and grabbed me. What do you expect?
Hey,
what do you expect to happen?
No judgment here. If you didn't get disqualified, then you didn't actually cheat.
Exactly. She was still standing. I still had to finish her. Like, come on.
And even now, again, I watched this match live. They said on commentary that her shoulder was up. I didn't technically see her shoulder was up. You were actually in the match. Was her shoulder up, or?
I would say no, but I feel like she did try to kick out, but it was just after the 3 count. So, like from where I saw, like I feel like I definitely had her down for the 3. I just feel like she did try to kick out, but she was just too late. She wasn't fast enough, and that's what it's all about, getting them down for the 3. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Now,
That's right.
You think that this is the last you've heard of Delta, or do you think she's gonna run with my soul I kicked out?
I'm sure she will like have a cry and run to the GM and demand another match or something. But as far as I'm concerned, I've beaten her, and that means she's back of the line, and she has to earn another spot before she gets another shot at my belt. So if the GM says anything different, I will be having words about that, because it's definitely not fair. But we'll see what happens. She's new. She's really only had, half a dozen matches. That's it. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think I'll be wrestling her again. I just hope it's not for my belt and not anytime soon. But it's not up to me, so we will see.
And you said you hit the code breaker on her. Usually your finisher is the Savannah Stunner, which is kind of like a modified Stone Cold Stunner. So
Yeah.
when did you kind of transition to that?
No, I've used the code breaker in the past. It's like an older finisher that I used a lot, and then I sort of moved into the stunner. The stunner's still like my main finisher, but I think in that moment I was just trying to capitalize on the shot to the head and just take her down as quick as possible. I didn't want to pick her up, and she had already kicked out of my finisher, so I figured I will try something new, something different on her, and try to keep her down, and I feel like it worked. So
I mean, yeah, you got the W.
That's it. Sometimes you got to pull out the old moves and they work.
Oh, absolutely. Scooter, you have a question?
Yes. Now, which topic do I want to know more about? All right. You spent some time here in the States with Shine and Shimmer, the go-to for women's wrestling in the States. If you really want to get noticed in the States, and you competed against some well-known names, Mia Yim, Tony Storm, just to name a few. What would you say you learned from wrestling in the States, and what would you say you like to think you taught them about wrestling in Australia?
I definitely loved it when I got to come over. I loved working for those companies and meeting so many girls and just that whole experience was so amazing. I definitely love to go back. I mean, hopefully, borders don't stay closed forever and I will get to go back at some point. But I think working those companies, one of the biggest things that I took away was probably the working on the fly and just like getting thrown out there and just having to make it work. They tend to do the 2 shows a day, so and then you got to go out and sell all your merch as well, so it's very like go go go, and there's no time to like stop and really run through things or go through things in even in your head. You just get thrown out there and you got to wing it and hope for the best. And I think that that's a big learning experience, because over here, obviously in Australia, we have shows like once a month, and you never really do the double shows. Like I had never done that before. It's always just the one show. Usually you match weeks in advance and building up to it. You've got time to prepare and get ready, but it was very different over there in that sense, and just getting thrown in the deep end and going for it. But I loved it, and it was so much fun, and I wouldn't take it back for anything. I'm not sure I taught them anything. They were probably like, who the hell is this new girl? What's she doing here? And who decided to book me against her? But I mean, hopefully I did, or even if I just made them smile and taught them a little bit about Australia, or like what it was like over here and stuff, and even convinced some of them to come over and work over here. That would be great, because we've had a few of them come over since then, but I'm always trying to talk up Australia and convince them to come over, but it's a very long flight, so I understand.
So just to piggyback on that real quick, would you say you learned more about the business side of wrestling coming in to the States?
Yeah, definitely, because it is very like businessy. That's probably a good way to put it. It's very much a business in the States, whereas in Australia we don't do it for a living. I have a full-time job, and that's where I make my money, and I do wrestling because I love it and because it's my passion. And sure, I make like a little bit of money, but I'm not living off wrestling at all. But over there, that's what people do. That's their job. They're making good money from it, so they're out there to hustle. It's like sell your gimmicks, get your stuff over. Like that's what it's about. So it is very different, but it's good to know that and learn that, because I really hope that one day that is what it will be like in Australia. I hope that all my years of blood, sweat and tears in this business means that we can get it to that point where the next generation can be doing it full time and can be earning good money from it in Australia. That's the goal. That's where we want to be. So I think anyone from Australia going over to the States, that's a good thing to take away from it and learn from it.
Kalika, you have a question?
Yeah, speaking of people wrestling, last week we had a new women's champion, and that champion you wrestled in her very first match, and that would be one Rhea Ripley.
Yes, this is true. This is true.
So my question is, if you could just elaborate on the difference between the girl that you wrestled in that ring then to the girl that you see on TV now, because just tie in what you were saying as far as like the business aspect with the love aspect. I would think that she is one of several examples of women that started it with the love, was able to go to the States and actually get into the business and soak it like a sponge. So what did you see then, and what do you see now? Because I'm pretty sure she has came into her own over those last couple of years.
Yeah, no, definitely. She's doing amazing things and looking amazing doing it. I still remember the first day she came to the gym and I was training and she was watching with her dad. I think her dad brought her down. And I remember the boys are like, look, there's a new girl. And I was so excited because every time we get any new girls, like I get so excited because we just don't have many. And she looked good, so I was like, awesome, she looks athletic, so I was really happy. And then obviously, like, she started training and she picked everything up very quickly. She was a natural. You could tell she had, she was an athlete. She had done lots of sports in the past and she picked everything up really quickly. And she didn't take long at all before we decided to throw her in a match and give her a match. I think we had some special show on and we were like, well, this is the one, we'll give her a go because it was like a good opportunity to try someone new. It wasn't an important sort of show. So we
I
gave
mean, they
her
really
we
drew
gave
under
her a
fire,
shot.
putting her against you, right?
Yeah, well, I was the top chick. I always bring the new girls through. It's what I do. Like on Friday, I've got 3 new girls that I'm bringing through and having their first match. So it's pretty normal for me, I feel, bringing all the new girls through. So I was happy to do it, and she did amazing in her first match, and obviously she's gone on to be amazing since then. But it's nice to look back and see like where she came from and where she started, and I like to think I had a little bit to do with bringing her through and teaching her the ways and getting her bookings here interstate. I made her gear, her first gear, and even the gear she wore when she did the Mae Young Classic, I made that for her. So it's nice to see where she is now. She definitely deserves it. She's put in all the hard work, and we always knew she was going to be amazing. She was always good here. As soon as she started, she picked it up. She was a natural. So we knew she had the star potential, and WWE were finally starting to look at some of us down here in Australia. They hadn't really looked at us for like the whole time I had been wrestling. I think when she started, I was about 10 years in, and they had never looked at us down here, and they were finally starting to look at us when she just started coming through. So it was really good timing. She got really lucky in that sense of them coming over and doing a tryout right when she turned 18, and so she was allowed to do the tryout, and they loved her straight away. I think she had a lot of praise from all the coaches over here because we all knew she was amazing. So they I think they really were looking at her before they had even decided to do the tryout. So we kind of knew she was going to get signed. We were all, obviously ecstatic and happy for her. Sad to see her go because, we don't have many women, and I loved wrestling her. We definitely got very comfortable in the ring together. I think we wrestled like hundreds of times. But to see where she is now, and she still puts over Riot City and lets people know that's where she's come from. I think that's amazing, and hopefully it encourages some more people and girls to come down and train and try to do the same thing.
So you're the rite of passage, as to say, for women's wrestling.
Sure, why not?
So it's like once they get in the ring with you, you officially have become a pro wrestler.
I like to think so.
I believe Scooter has actually a follow-up question to that about a series of matches you had with her in one night.
Yes, I wanted to ask about the RCW New Year's Eve shows at Mount Gambier.
Yes.
These were around 2014, 2015 were the last time these were being done, but these involved multiple matches, tag matches, sometimes wrestling 5 times in one night. What was the deal? How did that come to be? And what was the reason aside from ringing in the new year?
Yeah, so basically we have some of our wrestlers who come from Mount Gambier. They obviously they grew up there and they've traveled down to Adelaide and now they wrestle with Riot City. So we have a lot of contacts there and we got offered to do a spot. They do like a big New Year's Eve festival sort of event where there's all, like show rides and, you got your food trucks and your bands playing and all this kind of stuff. That it's like a big festival. They have the fireworks for New Year's. So they asked us to come down and work the show. And so it's not like a proper show where we have like 4 matches, intermission, 2 more matches or something. It's not like that. It's a whole day kind of thing where we put on like small little matches. It's like a half an hour. You might do like 3 matches and then like we wait an hour and then we do another half an hour block, 3 more matches and then wait an hour. So you can end up wrestling like 5 times in a day and it definitely takes it out of you, but it's really good for the new guys coming through and getting used to being in front of a crowd, getting used to working the crowd and being able to wrestle with multiple different people and learning, everyone's different styles and feeling each other out to see how well you gel together in the ring and that kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun. It's not like a real serious show where you're going to go out there and, kill yourself. It's a bit more relaxed, a bit more fun. And then at the end of the day, we can just pack up, watch the fireworks and then, party on with everyone afterwards. So it's good. It's a good fun. Unfortunately, last year it got cancelled because of COVID. And that's, I think, the first time in like 10 years we haven't done it. And I don't know what will happen this year. I'm not sure. We haven't heard anything, whether it'll be back or not. So it might be done. I don't know. But we loved it. So I hope not. I hope eventually we get to go back and do it because it's become a bit of a tradition for Riot City Wrestling.
Now, speaking of, the pandemic, could you tell us how the pandemic has really affected the Australian wrestling scene and how it affected your career personally?
So I think we have been extremely lucky in Australia. We are sort of very easily quarantined from the rest of the world, being on like basically an island. I guess our government wasn't afraid just to like shut down the borders straight away and get us into lockdown. And we closed down in Adelaide personally. We closed down for only like, I think about 2 months or something. We couldn't have shows. And then we were pretty much able to just open everything back up, but everything was still just a bit more restricted, like social distancing and that kind of thing. So when we finally could come back and do shows, we had only missed about, I think, 2 or 3 months of shows. So not many, because we only have them every month or so. So probably like 3, maybe 4 shows we missed. And then we were able to get back into it pretty quickly. And we just couldn't do the big shows in the big venues with, your 500-600 crowds. We had to do smaller shows in the gym with the social distancing, but it was good because we were just able to get back to live shows pretty quickly. Unfortunately, Melbourne, they stuffed up. I know what they were doing down there, but they definitely stuffed up and they had to stay locked down for like 6 months or something. Ooh. They really got, they had a couple of cases get out of control. And so Melbourne was locked off to the rest of us in Australia for a while. But so the one way that it really affected me was I was, and I still am, the Warzone Women's Champion. That's a Melbourne-based company. So I was not able, obviously, to go over there and defend the belt. They obviously weren't able to have shows at all anyway. So I still haven't been able to go over because they're only just starting to get back into having shows earlier this year. So I still haven't gone back. But in saying that, I have become the longest reigning Warzone Women's Champion in the process. So that's a positive to take out of it. I'll take it. I don't care if there's reasons behind it. I'll still take it. And yeah, like I said, we've still been able to have the shows over here, and we even this year we've started having bigger shows again. We're allowed to have bigger crowds, and Riot City actually broke their numbers for the biggest crowd that we've had, which was 650, and that was in March. So we're doing really good now.
That actually sounds great, because we've interviewed people in Japan and Canada, and it's been tricky for them, especially in Canada. They're still locked down. So it's great to hear that Australia wasn't as affected as other countries have been.
Yeah, we've been really lucky. I say that, and I mean, I hate that we can't travel really overseas. Yeah, obviously that sucks, but yeah, being a bit more isolated from the rest of the world, and the government shut down the borders, it was good because we were able to get us under control. And even if that just means we can travel between states, then that's good for now. Eventually everything will open back up. We just got to deal with that when it happens. But the fact that we're back to being able to travel interstate, and I think we have like an opening with New Zealand. We're allowed to travel to New Zealand. It's like a special deal they did. So we've got New Zealand if we really need to go overseas. But otherwise, it's all open over here, and there's plenty of places just in Australia to travel, which is great.
Just to quickly piggyback on that, you haven't competed in New Zealand, have you?
No, I have.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I
Richard
have.
didn't bring up any matches with you in New Zealand?
I'm not sure. Well, I only went over for one show. I took one of my new girls, and we went over and we did a tag match. That was in 2017. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was awesome because we stayed an extra week, and we went and did all the fun touristy stuff and had a ball. So I'd definitely go back. It's so beautiful over there. I'd love to go back.
And we talked about it a little bit already. You started as a valet. Because you were still training, waiting for girls to come in to actually wrestle. Could you tell us what you kind of learned from being a valet during that time? Like, was there ever an aha moment or something clicked that maybe you didn't understand being outside of pro wrestling?
Yeah, I think like everything, it's so different when you are just watching it to actually being involved. You don't realize how much you have to be aware of what's going on, and even just standing on the outside, you still need to be super aware of everything that's kind of happening, because you don't want to get in the way and you don't want to stuff up. And just, I think I learnt, which helped going into wrestling, like having that transition. I think learning the timing and yeah, very being ring aware and getting used to being in front of a crowd. So I think it was, as much as I wanted to wrestle straight away, I think it did definitely help me for when I did start wrestling, because I already was used to being in front of the crowd, and I already knew how to interact with them, and getting all the timing right and my positioning right and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it definitely helps before you wrestle. But in saying that, once you start wrestling, you look back on when you were a valet and you think, I had no idea. Because when you're a valet, you're so worried. You got like one tiny spot and you'll be like, oh my God, I need to remember this. I'm freaking out. And then when you start wrestling and you've got a whole match that you have to remember, it's like, I had nothing to be worried about as a valet. What was I freaking out about? I'm pathetic. It's just a totally different story. And I try to tell new people coming through, if they're going to be a valet, I try to explain that to them. I'm like, I know you're freaking out about your one spot, but just remember that the guy that you're going to the ring with has a whole match to remember. So just leave him alone. Don't freak out on him. Just freak out in your head to yourself, because you've honestly got nothing to remember.
So basically, it's the Mike Tyson quote: "Everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face."
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Scooter, you have a question?
Yes. Now, you've had some very interesting matches. Now, a lot of people might not know the history of hardcore matches and how Australia is really a bit more responsible for the deathmatch scene. And there was an incident in 2002. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. You probably are. The PCW incident.
I don't think I am.
The show that was advertised as family friendly and then had a death match at the end of the night, and someone from a rival promotion got it media attention and almost killed independent wrestling across all of the states.
I don't think I've never heard of this. So maybe it's been tried to be swept under the rug and nobody talks about it.
Well, you've had a hardcore match against Harley Wonderland, Dark Days. I'm wondering how scrutinized was that match in terms of the planning, in terms of what you were allowed to do and what you couldn't do?
Yeah, not much really. Like, I think the boys pretty much just say, it's your match and you can do as you like, and obviously we will run it by them and make sure they don't think anything is too crazy. But I've never had any situation where we've come up with anything where the boys have said, no, don't do that, or they don't want us to do that. I think I'm definitely someone that is, I always say, no thumbtacks. I don't want to deal with thumbtacks, and I definitely don't want to deal with barbed wire. I don't need to be scarring up my body. I like my body. and I don't want scars everywhere. I love wrestling, but I'm not all about, permanent body dysmorphification.
That actually answers my next question without even having to ask it, I think. We know that Shazza has competed for this company, DMDU, Deathmatch Down Under. Have you been approached about competing for them in the near future?
No, I haven't. Yeah, they're just a new company that started up in Melbourne and they seem to be doing really well. But no, I've not been contacted by anyone there. So maybe they know that I'm scared of the thumbtacks and the barbed wire, so they're not interested in getting me over.
No.
I don't know. I'm getting old. Maybe they just want the young ones coming through.
Let's make it clear. You would get them over, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I'm okay having, I should say, yeah, I'm okay having like the thumbtacks in the ring. I just don't want to be, landing in them. So in my match with Harley Wonderland, she did actually empty a whole thing of thumbtacks on a table, but I managed to get out of that and pushed her on them. And then I had a street fight with Mickey Fortune. Yeah, and she unloaded a whole bunch of thumbtacks as well, but I definitely got out of that and managed to put her through the thumbtacks, and I avoided them myself. So I think that's the thing. If you see them, you just got to come up with a plan on how to stay away from them. but I would never take them to the ring. So anyone that has a fight with me knows I'm not bringing them to the ring. So if you bring them and you end up in them, that's your problem.
Because everybody has a plan until they go through thumbtacks.
Right. It's true.
Kaliko, you have a question?
Yes, I do indeed. You are considered well, you consider yourself, but most of the time you are considered the first lady of wrestling in Australia. Um, there is a lady that you had a match with that went on to make history and become a world heavyweight champion, and I'm speaking of one of Tessa Blanchard. Um, do you see yourself eventually? Because I feel like you've done it all in the women's division. Do you see yourself as a world champion if given the opportunity to get the belt?
Well, I did actually hold the main championship in PWSA.
That's what I'm talking about. Look at her.
I believe was it last year or 2019? I can't even remember. Probably I think it might have been last year. We had the champion at PWSA. He cut a promo and just said that he'd beaten everyone. So I decided to come out and say, well, you haven't beaten me. And I guess I got really lucky because I rolled him up and won the belt. So I wrestled for them last night, and it was a 4-way elimination match, and I managed to win that as well. So I'm doing okay there. I did lose the belt the very next show.
Oh, boo.
when he got his rematch, but I still can say that I have held a heavyweight championship in Australia, so that's something.
I mean, that's awesome because you joined that pantheon of like Tessa Blanchard, sexy star, even though she's been, kind of marked. But she was also one of the like few females that held male heavyweight champions. So I think that's a astounding thing. And with you winning those belts, I feel like you kind of broke that ceiling. So do you think that could be the normality? And how is the reception from the audience seeing you win that championship?
Yeah, everyone went crazy. I don't think anyone was expecting it at all. I was like, on top of the moon when it happened. It was amazing feeling, and even just to have the guys show me enough respect to, be happy to get in the ring with me and do that with me. Even like I said, even though I lost it the very next month, the very next show, it still was just the respect I felt from everyone in getting that. And everyone was very nice and happy about it and gave me a lot of praise. So it makes me very happy, and I really do hope it becomes more of the norm. I don't expect it to happen everywhere all the time, but if there are women that can step up to that level and pull off a match just as good as the men, then why not? Why not?
Oh, absolutely.
That's
Now,
it.
going back to the match with Mickey Fortune, and you said you're not a fan of thumbtacks. Is she approaching you to do thumbtacks, or is that something the promotion says? On do somebody has to convince you to use thumbtacks in the match?
No, I think in that situation, she had said she really wanted to do thumbtacks, and I just said that's fine, but I'm not going through them. I'm not going in them. So I just said it's up to you. If you want to do them, you get them. You sort it out, and I'll happily throw you into some tacks.
Because that was such a brutal match. And you know,
Yeah,
obviously you could draw it down, but do you kind of see yourself as like able to do, that match type wrestling, or do you prefer, in the ring, two girls, lock up?
to be honest, I really do enjoy doing stipulation matches. I have a lot of fun doing them. I have absolutely no issues with pain, and I love to take like really big moves or big bumps. I feel like, the crowd loves it and I can do it, so I like to deliver that. I think, when like with the thumbtacks and the barbed wire kind of stuff, it's more just about like, scars and stuff. I don't want to scar my body. The pain wouldn't really bother me. It's just the scarring my body, and I'm not interested in doing that. No, I don't make enough money wrestling to be doing. Maybe if someone offered me really good money, I might. But I'm definitely not getting offered that much money to be doing that stuff. So, yeah, I love doing the matches, but it's just the kind of thing where I understand I prefer to do it in a, it's more of like a blow off match. You don't want to just go out there and have, a big hardcore match for no reason. I'd rather build a story, tell a really good story, build it for months, and then get to a point where that is the final match. That's the final shot of who's the best, and we're going to do a stipulation, and there's going to be weapons, and let's see who's the best. So it's hard to convince the boys to give us those sorts of spots where they will give us months to build a story to lead into some sort of stipulation match, like whatever it's going to be. But I'm all for it. I'm definitely I'm always, I've got a bunch of stipulations on my bucket list that I want to tick off that I still haven't done. So hopefully there are more stipulation matches in my future.
Ooh, what are one of the ones on the bucket list? Huh?
Oh, well, I think I talked to someone about this recently, and I think probably the top one would be like a cage match. I've never done a cage match, and I think that would be a lot of fun and different. And I definitely love to tick that off of the list.
Hypothetically speaking, would you ever consider wrestling a Rock?
Oh,
Not
gosh.
Dwayne Johnson, an actual Rock.
An actual Rock.
Yeah.
Sure, if I can win.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, he is world heavyweight champion, so
yeah, he's not kidding on that.
for context, there's this promotion called Backyard Pro, and there's this guy called Psycho Mike, and no joke, he wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes, and what was billed as a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted 2 weeks.
Oh my god. That's a bit extreme, but okay.
And it ended in a tie, 315 to 315.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
just so you know the context of it.
Well, I've never done an Iron Woman match either, so that's another one on the list I would like to tick off.
Well, make it a Tungsten Man match, Tungsten Woman match.
I know.
There's so many
Between her, Rock, and Hard Place, all in a triple threat.
Oh gosh.
Now you do actually have a move called Pure Arrogance. Is that a nod to Rick Martel?
Oh no, I think that was it might have been for one of the boys. I think that was when I first started. It was just a move that was given to me. They were like, this will work well, do this. So that may be where they got it from, but no, not myself.
Okay. But the perfect plex is a nod to Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. When I started calling myself the Princess of Perfection, everyone started obviously doing the comparisons to Mr. Perfect. So then I thought, well, I need to show some respect here, and I figured I would do the Perfect Plex.
I mean, you You get compared more to Mr. Perfect than his own son. So
It's funny though, because I honestly just started off as like a nickname, the Princess of Perfection, but then just having that word perfect, that's how much of like an icon he is. Still everybody straight away goes to Mr. Perfect, and that's what they say. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, he was amazing. I love him. So I will absolutely incorporate, some of his stuff into my moves.
So then you got to try the spit the gum out thing. You got to commit to it.
I'm a lady though. I'm a lady. I'm the first lady. I would never
Yeah.
spit gum
ladies don't
out.
spit gum.
I'm pretty sure the first lady gets a pass. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I couldn't do it.
The
I'm
ultimate
a
hall
lady.
pass.
Oh no, that's definitely part of my lady persona, is that I'm classy, and that is something I would never do.
Scooter, you have a question?
Yes, we've spent so much time talking about your current in-ring career. Let's get to maybe how everything started. A lot of people might not know that there was a period where the big promotions wouldn't go to Australia at all from about 86 to really about the 2000-ish. And then the WWE resumed touring Australia. Did this have any factor on your decision to pursue wrestling, any of the tours that they did from 2002 to 2005? And if you didn't pursue wrestling, what would you have pursued? Because I know you do have a background in a couple of other sports.
Yeah, I definitely remember, like, I've loved wrestling since I was about 9 or 10 when I discovered it, all by myself. I don't have brothers or anything, so I didn't have anyone showing me wrestling. I just found it and fell in love, and was obsessed straight away. I definitely remember when they first decided to come down. They did a tour. The first time they came, they only did one show in Melbourne, and I was quite young, but I remember like forcing my mum to like try to get tickets. And as soon as they went online, like as soon as they went on sale, we were on the phone like straight away trying to get tickets, and we couldn't get tickets. They sold out so quickly. I was devastated. I was very upset. My mum, obviously, she knew how much I loved wrestling, so she was like, we will go to Melbourne and go see this show if we can get tickets, but we couldn't, so I didn't get to go to that show. But then I remember a couple of years later, they came back. Obviously the first one went really well, so they came back a couple of years later and they did more shows. They did I think they did Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney and Perth. And so they were in Adelaide, so we got tickets, and obviously I got to go. And they did, I think every couple of years they did shows from then on for like a few years. I think they only ended up doing about four shows in Adelaide, but every single show they obviously came here for, we went to, and I loved it, and it was always amazing. I would definitely not say that is the reason that I decided I wanted to wrestle. I knew I wanted to wrestle since I first started watching it. I fell in love with it so much. I didn't just love it as a fan. I knew that was what I was going to do. I was like, this is me. This is what I'm going to do. And I knew that. I loved it that much. And so for me, it was just a matter of time before I knew I would be a wrestler or get in the ring. I was always into sports. I think I played nearly every sport under the sun when I was younger. I did netball, soccer, swimming, dancing, calisthenics, gymnastics, football, basketball, everything, tennis, softball. Yeah, I could list them off. I played everything, so I was always an athlete. Both my parents were athletes, so they definitely encouraged me and my sister to get into sports and be athletes. And I'm glad they did, because I think getting into wrestling, you need an athletic background, and I feel like it really doesn't even matter what kind of sport you've played. Just having an athletic background helps pick up wrestling so much quicker. And I would definitely say, like, now, for people coming through, there are definite sports that are better to play when you're younger to help you when you get into wrestling. But playing any sports is a good thing. Definitely, if you have never played sports before and then you try to be a wrestler, it's going to take you a shit ton longer to get good at it, because it is, you got to be very athletic. So, but yeah, no, I just always knew I wanted to do it, and I begged my mum, and she was like, "You can't do it. There's no wrestling in Adelaide." And I was like, "But I want to be a wrestler." And I think she was just worried because I was young and it was very physical. So she's like, "When you're older, you can do it." And so I think I found a company that, like, the only school I think I could find was in Sydney. And so my plan was, when I turned 18, basically move to Sydney. I had an auntie that lives in Sydney, so I was just going to move over there and stay with her and just find this wrestling school and, get to learning, basically. But I was lucky. When I turned 18, like I said earlier, I was in town with my friends, one of my friends' 18th birthdays, and we just happened to meet some guys who were professional wrestlers, and they ran a school, and I was just in shock and in awe. And 2 weeks later, I was training. I think it was like a week later I was training, and 2 weeks later I was on my first show as a valet. It's a lot of information.
No, we love it. So, Kaliko, you have a question?
Yeah, actually, to follow up on that, because when it comes to athletics, um, a lot of people may don't know, but Australia is actually one of those volleyball and basketball powerhouses. Because you have Lauren Jackson, who I followed when she came from Australia, came to the WNBA for the Seattle, and she was just like an all-world talent. Do you think because of the fact that Australia was powerhouses in those two sports, especially at an Olympic level, uh, could that have been a factor to the lack of women in wrestling? Because you got to think those two sports on a global stage for Australia seemed like at the time the biggest export up until recently, when you guys had like just an influx of women jumping into the States and getting their shots.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just in Australia in general, we are very, very big on our sports, and everyone is encouraged to get into sports, basically. And I definitely feel like a lot of people growing up, a lot of girls especially, would be looking at the stuff that's big on TV or being pushed in the communities, and that's what they would pursue and follow. And wrestling is not something that is promoted. It's not around the place. Most people don't even know it exists in Australia. You've really got to go out of your way to find it. It's not on TV, like especially back in the day. It wasn't like WWE wasn't on TV all the time. Like I think I got really lucky finding it. It used to be on at like midnight, so the chances of discovering it were very rare. And then watching it and falling in love enough to want to pursue it, it's a totally different thing. And so you're always going to see whatever is mainstream, whatever's on TV and people are pushing for, and that's what you're going to go for, because you're like, well, my family's encouraging me to chase basketball or whatever, and that's what you do. I think it's just, for me, I fell in love with it so much that it was like in my soul, like I knew I was going to do it. But I did not have anybody telling me to go after it or to do it. Even my dad, when he found me watching it, he's like, "Why are you watching this crap? It's all fake, right?" It's the first thing he said. So I'm sure he would have preferred me to just continue on with netball or soccer or something. But And that's just what it was like. It was just so deeply, like, you know, in me that I wanted to be a wrestler, that I chased it and pursued it. But it would have been so easy in at so many stages to give up and just go after something else that everyone else was doing, and would have been easier to get into, and I probably could have, you know, got into something and made it big in something else because I was a really good athlete. But yeah, it just depends on the passion and how much you're given the freedom to go after it, I think.
Now you said that you need an athletic background, and it really helped you progress in your wrestling training. Did you know that kind of before you got into sports completely? Kind of saying, okay, I'm only doing this to kind of get myself in shape for pro wrestling, or was it just more like you wasn't aware how much doing those sports actually helped you?
Yeah, no, I always just loved sports. I was always really good at sports. I'm just built like that. I think I have the body of an athlete, and I'm can pick up almost any sport and play it really well. I think I'm just very lucky. It's in my genes. Thanks to both my parents for giving me good athletic genes, and my sister. She's the same. We could both pick up basically anything and do amazing at it. I played state netball. I played state soccer, and I went to I did all the big athletic stuff, like the high jump and the long jump and the 100-meter sprints. I was always placed first or second with any of that stuff. I was always really good, even though I'm short, which is an even bigger accomplishment, because when you get to the next level with that stuff, and you start having to compete against the tall girls, and then that's when you fail, because just because they're taller, they can jump higher and further and run faster, and that's the letdown, because you're like, I was doing really good until I had to deal with you tall. I won't say the word. but yeah, I've just been very lucky in that sense. And I think I'd always play sports. If I wasn't wrestling, I would definitely still be doing sports. I'm just a sporty person. And when I was playing sports growing up, it was just what you did. At one point I was in like 3 different netball teams. So I would be having 3 games a week, training 3 nights a week. And then I'd be doing, softball and football as well. So it was always like it's just what you did. When I was in high school, you played for school, and then you had your team sports outside of school, and then I also had teams with my friends where we would go and play for fun. It was just what you did, and I just did it because I loved it and I was good at it. So it was just there, and I was never really doing it to say, this is getting me ready for wrestling. I just knew that I wanted to be a wrestler. It was just at that point I couldn't do it because I didn't know that we had it in Adelaide. I didn't know there were any schools. I didn't know where to even begin. I just knew once I was old enough to work that out, once I wasn't going to school anymore or whatever, I knew that was the avenue I wanted to go down. I just knew, whether I, did it, for the big times or not, I was never doing it like that. I just knew I wanted to do it for me because I loved it and I had that passion for it. And I knew eventually I was going to get there and I was going to be a wrestler. And in the meantime, I was just doing whatever was around and having fun and keeping fit.
Now, I know Scooter has a food-related question.
Actually, I have one more before I get into the food-related question.
All right.
Now, I believe you are a firm believer in reincarnation. Do you believe you will be reincarnated as a butterfly?
Sure. I would actually say I would believe that I've already been a butterfly, and I've probably progressed from that, mentally and spiritually, and that's why I've probably gone through all the animals, and that's why now I get to be a human with intelligence. I don't think that we digress back to that unless maybe you are a serial killer or something and did something really bad, so you have to go backwards. But that's just sort of the way I think. I think I've probably already done all those, and that's why I am where I am.
I was really hoping for the answer yes, because no one ever suspects the butterfly.
Definitely. But I do believe I've probably already done it, and that's why I'm where I am.
I was going to ask if you were a big Simpsons fan, because that's where that line comes from.
Yes, I am. I love that line. I think it's really good, and I always use it with my butterfly reference. I think it's fantastic.
No, it's funny because I've named my own production company also from a Simpsons reference. It's Nobody Out Crazy's Ophelia Productions, and it's from when the Simpsons did Hamlet. And
nice.
There's Nobody Out Crazy's Ophelia. But now we'll move on to the food question. I think this is what James is getting at. Please explain it to us Americans. If you eat this,
I bet you it's a yes.
what is the proper Vegemite ratio, and are you still ashamed of Tom Hanks for spreading so much of it?
No, I love Vegemite, and I can eat spoonfuls of it. So
oh wow.
I will often open up the jar and just put my finger in and just eat it like that. So I'm
your sodium levels, wow.
It's just once you get used to it, it's like your body craves it and just loves it. It's weird. But definitely if you have never had it, or if you just like having it normal, you would not put crazy amounts. It's always like best on toast with butter first, and then you just have like a light spread over the top. You really don't want it so dark that it's just black. You almost need it so you can see that butter through it as well. And that's probably the best way to have it. But I think it's just one of those things, you either like it or you don't. And I think it's the sort of flavor that if you grow up with, you get used to it. And that's why we all love it. I'm sure if you guys grew up with it, you would love it too, but you don't. So you try it and you go, what the hell is this?
Well, unfortunately, in most supermarkets here, in the ethnic food sections, it's only Marmite.
Yeah, I love that too.
But isn't like Oreos illegal in Australia? I heard that before.
No, we definitely have Oreos.
Okay, thank God. I had someone tell me that Oreos were illegal. I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, and Oreos.
Oreos.
But you guys have Kinder Surprises. They're illegal over there, aren't
they? Yeah. We have a bunch of Kinder products. The Kinder Surprises in a certain way are not illegal.
No toys inside.
There are actually still toys inside.
Oh.
But it's the Wonder Balls from Nestle, and they used to be illegal because the toys were not. Well, basically, they were getting eaten.
Yeah, like it was a choking hazard.
Yes.
So they had to ban them. We still have them over here. I guess we don't care. We're like, if someone chokes, it's on them.
We still have them. In fact, I just finished off a pack of Kinder Bueno, but I like the bars, so.
Yeah, they're nice. They're really good.
Now, all of this food talk, pineapple on pizza, what's your stance?
I knew it was coming. I love pineapple on pizza. I love it. Every time I'd order it. I'd order extra pineapple. It's the best.
All right.
Wow, that's our first extra pineapple.
Dad, first extra pineapple. Usually
I'm weird though. I eat everything. I'll get a pizza and I like olives and anchovies and everything. So
yes,
that's me.
All right. One of our very few pro pineapple on pizza. very pro pineapple on pizza.
I don't know why it's so frowned upon because I love it. I don't understand, but I guess it must just be like a taste thing. And I guess pineapple is a little bit different. It's more of like a fruit, isn't it? So I guess it's odd, but I've just grown up with it. It's one of those things. I've grown up with it and I'm used to it and I love it.
People are very passionate about not having pineapple on pizza, and we've had people coming on saying like they will fight somebody if they put
Well,
pineapple.
you tell them I'm ready and I will fight for my pineapple.
All right, so Nevaeh Chantal versus Savannah Summers cage match coming soon.
Over pineapple pizza. She about that life.
Pineapple pizza on a ladder match. Winner force feeds pineapple pizza.
Yeah, sounds good because I win either way.
So that brings
Love
me
it.
up to my next question. What's your spirit Pokemon?
This isn't a good question. I don't watch Pokemon.
Well, what Pokemon do you know?
You know what's sad? I used to play Pokemon Go. You think I would remember them, but I really don't even remember them from that. There's like the gray one with he's like got a fat belly.
Jigglypuff?
Yeah, that might be him.
Snorlax?
Yeah, I have him on a t-shirt.
Oh, I thought she was talking about Onyx.
Is that the great? Yeah, Jigglypuff's like pink, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
I like him though too. I like him, so we can go with him.
Okay. We got there. No.
That's because he's like Kirby, and I love Kirby, so that's
I love
why
Kirby too.
Yeah, they're cute. So he's good. He's a good one.
Now, Kaliko has a colossal question.
Okay.
Oh wow. I mean, hopefully it's better than the Pokemon question. Let's just hope. Well, you've had your career. I mean, you started as a valet. Now you're like the first lady of Australian wrestling. So I have to ask you, if there was a soundtrack for your wrestling career, what would be the first 3 songs that you pick to highlight your wrestling career?
Oh, this isn't a good question either.
Should we maybe limit it to one?
It's okay. I don't really listen to music that much. It's really weird. I know. Isn't that the weirdest response? Everyone's always like, "What do you mean you don't
Top
listen
5
to
for
music?"
you, Kaliko.
They're asking, how do you get through the day? Like,
yes, everyone's like, what? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not really. I've never really been like a music person. I don't really listen to music that much. I definitely like have songs that I love that I will crank and I listen to. But yeah, throughout.
That's what I want to know. What out of those songs that you crank would
I love like a lot of old school songs.
We can go there.
Pardon?
I said we could go there.
No, like I really listen to like a lot of old stuff, like the Monkees and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness, I used to watch that show. That show, like, no, everyone shitted on that show in the States, but
but it was the best because it was so ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. It was just dumb good.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the song D.W. Washburn by the Monkees?
No, I'm not sure.
Actually, that was more of a later release, really, but
I definitely know a few like Davy Jones songs when he sort of did them by himself.
Like Last Train to Clarksville type.
Oh yeah, I love like all those songs and like Daydream Believer.
Yep, Daydream Believer.
Daydream Believer would be one I'd put on there.
Oh, we need a sing-along. Hey, we're the Monkees.
No, you don't want to hear me sing.
And people say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing to put anybody down. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, it's going, cheer up, sleepy Jane. Oh, what can it
be?
Daydream
believer and a
Homecoming
queen.
queen.
Yeah, see, that's my jam. That's my jam.
For anybody that's not aware, it is 11:30 p.m. on the West Coast. It is almost what?
It's 2:30 in the morning in the East Coast.
And we're singing monkey songs.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And that actually brings
James,
us.
you don't know the monkeys are underrated. They're underrated.
Right? They
That's-
got such a bad rap because they didn't play their own instruments.
And they came out when the Beatles were high. It
Yeah,
kind of
so
felt like it
everyone
was like
hated-
Beatles Junior. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Nah,
almost
monkeys all
broke
the way.
Kaleko's heart. You redeemed yourself. We got the Monkeys connection. We're good.
Well, I mean, the Monkees were technically a show first before a band.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole not playing their instruments, I think, can be forgiven. That's the thing that people tend to overlook.
Yeah. I still love them.
Unlike Milli Vanilli. See, she don't know music, but she knows about that shit.
I think everybody
I
knows
watch a
about
lot
that
of
shit.
documentaries. I watch a lot of documentaries.
Just blame it on the rain.
Oh, God.
And
Love
with
it.
that, it is once again time for that segment of the show. Savannah Summers' Bizarre Adventure. You're a wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a story that fits that description?
Oh, okay. Here's a good one. It's only short, but I think it's hilarious, and I still tell people to this day. I remember the first time Billie Kay. Let's
Yeah.
so a quiet moment for her recent release. Unfortunately, very sad. But Billie Kay was coming over to wrestle me over here in Adelaide. And I had to go with the promoter. I went with the promoter to pick her up from the airport. And he's a lovely guy. He only has one eye. He lost an eye. No, lovely guy, one eye. He lost an eye when he was young with his brother. They were playing, bows and arrows, and he actually got shot in the eye.
Oh my God!
I know.
And he's
I know.
driving.
It's not a believable story. You're like, did that really happen? But yes,
Does
that's
he
how
wear?
he lost his eye.
Does he wear a
And
patch
so-
of a glass eye?
Yeah, he has a glass eye.
Ooh.
So we went to the airport to pick up Billie Kay, and we got her, and we're in the car, and we're on our way out of the airport, and we're in the where the boom gates are, and the boom gate goes up and the car in front of us goes through, and the boom gate comes down, and Joe, the promoter, he just keeps driving, and we rip the whole boom gate out of the pole, and he's just like acts like nothing happened and just keeps driving. It was so bad. And Billie, I swear, she's just looking at me like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? What's going to happen while I'm here? Why is this guy driving?
I mean, you could say that was really an iconic moment. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, it was good. Good times. Good times.
That was.
But it wasn't that bad. She came back many times after that, so we didn't scare her too bad.
Well, that's great to hear. That was a great story.
Yeah.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, oh gosh, I will be old. No, I won't.
27.
Yeah, that's it. To be honest, I really don't know. I'd love to say, married and starting a family, having some kids, still being involved with wrestling, maybe not wrestling full time anymore, but still being involved. Hopefully if my body, holds out, I can keep going, even if I do have kids and that. But in saying that, I am single and no prospects for getting married and having kids at all. So I don't know. It might not happen. I really don't look at the future as like this is where I want to be. I'm very much a person that just lives in the moment, and I do what I feel like doing now, and just let life take me wherever it takes me.
That's actually a really good answer. And what is a match that people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Savannah Summers is all about?
I definitely love, like, obviously my stipulation matches that are online, against Harley Wonderland or Mickey Fortune. I think some of my better stuff would definitely be my title matches with Rhea Ripley when she was with Riot City Wrestling. I think having good opponents always brings out the best in you, and she was amazing even back then. So those matches are definitely worth checking out, all on the Riot City Wrestling YouTube channel.
Absolutely. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 9 questions of doom.
No actual doom to be incurred.
This is 9 questions, our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we find out who you really are, Savannah Summers. Are you ready?
I guess I'll do my best.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Trish Stratus.
Worst wrestler of all time.
Oh,
Everybody on this question.
Hold on.
I don't know. I would, what? To be fair, I probably wouldn't even remember their names if they were that bad, because they wouldn't be worth remembering.
Wow, I
Damn.
think she just paradoxed us.
Holy shit. She's like, they that bad in the ring. She went Men in Black. I don't even remember it.
I don't need to know them.
You know what? I will actually accept that answer.
Yeah,
Good. I like it.
We won't even go to our default answer for that.
What's the default?
Steve McMichael.
Okay.
But that answer was so unique that I think it stands on its own.
Without a doubt.
I'll stick with my wouldn't remember answer.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the Women's Championship. Who is your opponent?
If I was to go like right now, I would love to say Shayna Baszler.
Ooh.
What about past her? What about in the past?
Yeah, if it was the past, definitely just Trish Stratus. She might be top pick for everything. I love her.
Like Trish and Shayna. I think that'd be interesting. Shayna.
I just I don't know. There's just something about Shayna that really draws me, and I really just want her to have a singles run. I hate her with the tag belts. I'm like, no, she's a single competitor. Let her be a singles competitor. She just really draws me in somehow. I don't know why, but I love her.
Oh, absolutely. That whole NXT run was incredible.
Yeah, she won me over, definitely.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Trish Stratus.
Wait, but time to rock and roll.
I was gonna say, yeah, or even like The Rock's music, because I love The Rock as well growing up. So coming out to his music would be amazing.
All right. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
dying, and it makes me sad.
Doesn't that suck?
Yes, I hate it. I'm very much a kayfabe person, and I definitely still believe, in it and trying to keep it alive. But I feel like it's just disappearing.
If a Canadian from Canada moves to America, does that make them a Canadian from America?
I guess no, Canadian American.
Thank you.
Squash, fruit or vegetable?
Vegetable.
Unfortunately, it is a fruit, but
I told y'all, man. She knows it's in Vegemite. Come on, man. It's in Vegemite, so she knows damn well what it is.
Oh God!
well, you may have got the question wrong,
with that.
but you're in good graces with Kaliko. You are part of Squash Squad now, so and that
No,
means a whole lot more.
No, Australians know what's up. It's in Vegemite and it's not in no smoothie.
You know, Vegemite has no vegetables in it. Kaliko, right?
Man, just let me roll. Just let me roll with it, bro. Like, damn, like, just couldn't let me have that one.
New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question: what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I mean, you definitely need some space there, don't you? It happens a lot, doesn't it? I don't know. A couple of inches.
All
Baby
right.
powder is your friend.
What?
Baby powder is your friend in that situation.
Yeah.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that is the correct answer. Thank you so much. And that will conclude our interview. Thank you so much, Savannah, for coming on and doing this with us.
Yes, thank you.
No problems. Thanks so much for having me, guys. I hope I gave some good answers and didn't bore you too much.
This was an
Oh no. You more than excelled, madam.
I'm a talker.
This was an absolute blast, and I don't think we even got half of the stuff we actually prepared.
Yeah, I'm good at talking. Sorry, we might.
See, we need a part two.
It
See,
makes
part
for
two.
part
I'm
two.
down.
I mean, after we talked to Sean Phoenix for 3 hours, we were like, no more 2 parts. We'll bring you back.
We could do part 2.
We'll bring you back on for another time if you would like to come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a blast. It was good.
Oh no,
Awesome.
we need to get more mimosas. We need mimosas on the side in reserve for her. A little bit of the bubbly.
And
I love it.
And some Vegemite and toast on the side.
Yes.
And once again,
with some squash.
And once again, where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
You can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Savannah Summers. I also have a YouTube. There's not much on there, but Miss Savannah Summers, and my Redbubble account with all my merchandise, Miss Savannah Summers as well. So, yeah, pretty much find me everywhere.
And you can find all of those links in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Give her a follow. Click the link. You listen to her for an hour and a half. Buy a damn shirt. And of course, you can like, subscribe, comment. If you like what we're doing on Wrestling with Entertainment, join us Saturday for our preview and review show. Join us next Wednesday as we interview Kennedy Copeland. The week after that, Mama Shango, and the week after that, Travis Huckabee. And also, this episode was sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. And you can follow us all on Twitter as well. You can follow the show at Wrestling with E both on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
You can find me reading the ingredients to Vegemite at I Am Kaliko.
And where can they find Scooter?
You can find me peeking in through your living room windows. I love your new carpet treatment. It's great. And if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at Scooter Dust. And of course, as always, holding it down for the UNB network at UNBS Wrestling.
For our very special guest, Savannah Summers, Coleco Yachts, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.